Hi, welcome to the Excited Education channel, the YouTube channel which brings you about mathematics and biology. I'm teacher Amy Chris on micro. Now, as usual, we are going to discuss about biology on the point called biology and health science for the contents of senior 1. And as you see in the first video, we discussed about different introduction to the biology in contents of health science and biology in senior 1. So now we are going to discuss about what is the living organism and what is its importance and different contents of living organism. So welcome to the module. So let us go ahead. As introduction of our today topic, we are wherever you move, you are surrounded by houses, ground, trees, grasses, stones, animals, the human, and so on. So anything that exists in our environment is a being. So are all these living alive? It's a question. What surroundings or those surrounding the earth? For instance, as I said, houses, stones, trees, and so on. Are all those living alive? It's a question. Try to tackle on yourself and understand it. I think so. As a normal person or as a biologist, you know that those things that are around Earth are not all living things. So, definition: a living being is any being made from a small structure and functional unit called the cell. So, to be called a living being, think about cell. Any living things that exist or that try to carry out cellular activities or cellular metabolism is what we call living being. So it's made up of small structural functional units called the cell. For instance, the animal cell is made up of the nucleus, nuclear membrane, cytoplasmic membrane, or cell membrane. So to understand that what is living things that have life, simply means that understand that those cells. So if a living things that its existing is because of having cell. Think or take care that those are a living being and they have living things. So these are a different made up organelles that are likely to be made those cell: nucleus, nuclear membrane, cytoplasmic membrane, or cell membrane. So these are the structures of different cells: animal cell and plant cell, and ribosome. These are plant cell and the animal cell. You know differences between animal cell and plant cell, where some of general the animal cell does not have cell wall, whereas the plant cell have cell wall, and the animal cell does not have chloroplast, whereas plant cell have chloroplast, and animal cell does not call out like animal cell likely to be burst when they feel tagged, and whereas plant cell does not burst while they are full tagged. The reason why is that the plant cell does not the plant cell exists for cell wall, which is very hard, and it contributed by different cheating layers. So whereas animal cell does not have the cell wall, that's why it bursts when it's full of targetity. So here there are different parts of animal cell and plant cell. Let us see general parts and see different functions for it one by one. Starting from the nucleus, it is the central part of the cell that is surrounded by the nuclear membrane. This is like the brain of the cell. So it contains different DNA or nuclear materials like DNA and RNA. So these are the central part of the cell and is surrounded by the nuclear membrane. The cytoplasm, the acquisition solution that is around the nucleus. Those surrounding the nucleus, the outside of the nucleus, is what you call the cytoplasm, and it is contained by different substances, even different organelles that are floating in dirty fluid part of the cell, which is called cytoplasm, and it is like a generic substance that are likely to be found in the in the nuclear, in the cell general. Yeah. So there's what we call the cytoplasmic membrane or cell membrane. It surrounds the cell and controls its exchange with the environment. The layer that surrounds the cell simply means the cell membrane. It contributes together cell nucleus and cell cytoplasm. So here, this is it's the layer that surrounds the cell in general, and it controls the exchange, whether it is a substance that's likely to be moving or substance likely to move out. It controlled by the cell membrane. So a living being can be a unicellular or single cell microscopic. This one is made up of only one cell. Example, Paramecium and Amoeba. Unicellular organisms are those organisms that contains with a single cell, and for instance, they have one cell only. And some of examples are Paramecium and Amoeba. So multicellular organisms are those organisms. It is formed by more than one cell. So many cells. Example, animals and trees. So the living cell or the living being can contain unicellular and multicellular, where unicellular are the living organisms that have only one cell. For instance, like those ones, Paramecium and Amoeba. And whereas for the multicellular, they are formed by more than one cell, like animal cell and trees. But there is also another cell living being that are likely to have both multicellular and unicellular. We'll see those. So let us check about different characteristics of living things. So what are the features of living things? First, let us see nutrition. This is one feature or one character of living things. What is nutrition? It is a process by which organisms acquire and utilize nutrients. Food, if you say nutrients, simply means food. All organisms need to grow. So here, nutrition is a process, the system that you're likely to use when you are taking food from outside to inside of our body. Taking in food is what we call nutrition. So all organisms need the food to grow as usual. Different organisms feed in quite different ways. So according to different features or different adaptation that the living organisms are likely to have, they have different feeding methods or feeding modes. So animals feed on complex substances such as a meat, fruit, and bread. Plants make organic compounds such as sugar out of carbon dioxide and water using energy from sunlight in the process called photosynthesis. These are plants that are likely to use autotrophic. So here, autotrophic, they try to do this through making their own food by using carbon dioxide and water and use sunlight in order to make their own food in process called photosynthesis. There is another character which is called growth and development to the living being. So living being, during at least the last part of their lives, see here it is just growth and development. If they reproduce, they have to enter in the process of growth and its development. And all organisms grow and develop. Growth is an irreversible increase in living matter of an organism. Young animals stop growing in volume when they reach maturity, but plants continues to grow throughout their life. So you know that animals, they like to grow and they reach at a given extent. But for the plant, they continues to grow. You can't check that this plant stops to grow, but you can view a human being and you say that this animal is already stopped to grow. Yeah. So it reaches at their maturity. So plants likely to grow continuously, whereas animals, they have a certain time or a certain period that they like to stop grow. This is what we call growth and development. So living cells or living organisms or living beings are likely to have the point where it starts to grow and where it ends to grow. For those in animals, but for plants, they continues. So another point as a character is reproduction. Reproduction is giving rise to a new individual of the same kind. So even though they are living things, yes, they can't exist without reproducing. For instance, if there is a growth and development in a certain living being, simply automatically understand there is also reproduction. Because if today is a young and tomorrow will be at the old stage, understand that in that step for the youngest, you know that in the process of moving from youngest to the old or to the adult, you have to know that there is another step or there is another living new ones that are likely to be in the stage where the ones that are likely to move on. So this is how to increase the community. So the production is it's likely to give rise to new individuals of the some kind. So they likely to have new individuals. So this is what you call also excretion. Excretion, this involves separation and elimination of metabolic waste products from the body. Even though they carry out metabolic activities in the body, metabolic activities directly to produce some certain substances are not used in the body. So those substances to be wanted out of the body, they use process what we call excretion. So all the chemical reactions that go inside and organisms' body produce waste products, many of which are poisonous. These wastes must be removed from the body. This process what is called excretion. So those substances that are likely to be owned by different cells in their cellular activities, they likely to be harmed or they are poisonous. So in order to avoid or to prevent those poisoning body parts, the body organizes the system that are likely to warn out those unwanted substances that are poisonous, and in the process what we call excretion. So irritability is another characteristic of living being, and irritability, this is the ability of organism to detect and respond to changes in their immediate environment. So irritability simply means even though they exist in environment, yes, it's good, and what those things that are likely to be faced with those organisms in their environment, for instance, change in temperature, change in what, so and change in the environment, whether the environment is hot, is cold, or there is the predator coming to prey. So those system to know that there is what we call this mood is not good, or this environment is not good, it's worse to me, it's detected by the irritability. So these are responsible ability that organisms have to detect whether the environment is responding to it clearly or it's not responding to it in a good way. So this is what we call irritability. So for instance, if you touch something very hot like saucepan, you will move your hands away quickly. This is because you are sensitive to the heat. The heat you feel is called stimulus. In plural we call it stimuli, and the rapid movement of your hand is called the response. So this is one example of irritability, or the function of cells that are responsible for irritability process as one of the characteristic of the human being or living being. So the system directly to use stimulus as the things that likely to cause the response. So this is the process of irritability, yes. And breathing is another example, or is another character of human being or living being. During respiration, living things break down food substance in the presence of oxygen to release energy. Carbon dioxide and water are also reproduced. So here, in process of breathing, this is move out and in, out carbon dioxide, in oxygen. Yeah, this process is also required. So in order to be effective living being, you have to make breathing. So you have to warn out carbon dioxide and inside the oxygen as usual to continue to be in a fresh way. So here it is an term called respiration, where we take food plus oxygen. If we take in food and then we breathe in oxygen, so there is what we call a reaction that occurs, and then they will produce energy and the carbon dioxide and water. So those carbon dioxide that are likely to be produced, likely to be worn out, they likely to be worn out by breathing, whether through skin or whether through nose. So this organism, the organism use this energy to move, grow, and repair worn out tissues. So also this energy produced in process of respiration, they likely to be used in the process of movement and growth, even to repair different tissues. So there is another point which is called movement as next characteristics of human being or living being. So movement involves change in position by either a part of or the whole of living things. Organisms move in search of food, shelter, or in response to stimuli such as light, sound, or smell. So movement, it is a process that likely to occur in the living being, where it likely to move from one place to another, or to change one place to another, either by part or by whole living. So this system is likely to be used for the living organisms when they are looking for food and they are escaping from different stimuli that is not good, like sunlight and the sounds or smell. So let us see major groups of living things. The criterion of the presence or the absence of a nuclear membrane divided the living being into two major groups. So here, the living things, they are likely to have different major groups, but those major groups, they are likely to be classified according to different criterions. So first criterion, let us see the presence and absence, or the presence or the absence of the nuclear membrane. So this is one feature that likely to be considered while we are classifying the living things. So in presence or in absence of living things, in presence or in absence of nuclear membrane, the living things can be divided into two groups. Which one? The prokaryote and the eukaryote. Let us see different definition of prokaryote and eukaryote. The prokaryote, these are living beings made up of a single cell, whose the nucleus is fused into the cytoplasm. They do not possess the nuclear membrane. So the prokaryotes are the living beings that they have only one cell, as usual, and their nucleus is not clearly visible. They are fused in the cytoplasm. So they did not possess the nuclear membrane. They don't have nuclear membrane. Those layers that surrounds the cell. In the prokaryotes, they don't have, or they don't possess those or that layer of nuclear membrane. So they are usually extremely small cell which commonly exist as a single cell. So all group of cells cluster. These are bacteria, protozoa, and cyanobacteria, Brugun, algae. They are called the prokaryotic cell. So here you have to know that the prokaryotes, they are extremely small, and they have, or they especially commonly exist as the single cell or group of cell, which called the cluster. The group of cells called the prokaryote is what we call clusters. So some examples of prokaryotic cells like protozoa, cyanobacteria, which is what we call also green algae, and even the bacteria. So these are what we call prokaryotic cells. So you have to know that the prokaryotes are living organisms, or are living organisms that possess only one cell, and they don't possess cell membrane, and their nucleus is fused in the cytoplasm. Yes, and you have to know that the different examples are like bacteria, protozoa, and cyanobacteria, and those cells are called prokaryotic cells. The prokaryotes are unicellular or single cells. Yes, in this case, all functions of a living being are performed by a single cell, e.g. respiration, breathing, nutrition, commotion, and so on. So those different characteristics that we see, or we have seen in the last session, for the prokaryotic cells, all those characteristics are likely to be performed by a single cell. This is the feature of the prokaryotes. So typical prokaryote structure. So here there is what we call ribosomes, nucleoids, cytoplasm, pillars, cell membrane, cell wall, cilium, capsule, and flagella. So these are different parts of the prokaryotic cell. So as I said, this is an example of prokaryotic cell, and this is structure. Try to zoom it and understand it. If you see like this structure, you have to think that it is prokaryotic cell. Yes, and you have to know that it has fused the cytoplasm with the nucleus and cell wall possessed on the prokaryotic cell. Let us see some examples of prokaryotic cell like bacteria, microbes of species, tuberculosis, and gonorrhea. So bacteria, it related to spirit microbes for species, syphilis, and tuberculosis and gonorrhea. Protozoans like amoeba, paramecium, trypanosome, and so on. Cyanobacteria are blue-green alga. So let us see what we call the eukaryotes. So you can see. So for prokaryotes, we have seen different feature of it, and you have to know different examples like bacteria, protozoa, and cyanobacteria. One of bacteria's microbe of syphilis, tuberculosis, and gonorrhea. For the protozoans, you have to know that there is amoeba, paramecium, trypanosome, and so on. So for cyanobacteria, there is what we call blue-green alga. So let us see what we call eukaryotic cell. These are living beings made up of many cells, and their nuclei are surrounded by the nuclear membrane. So here they are formed by many cells which perform different functions, multicellular organisms. For instance, some cells deal with respiration while others deal with growth. So here for the eukaryotic cell, it is so totally different from prokaryote. So here for it comprises many cells. Yes, and those cells perform different functions. For instance, we find that in prokaryote, one cell performs all functions like locomotion, production, movement, excretion, and so on. But for eukaryote, one function have appropriate cells that have to accomplish those functions. Like respiration can be done with another cell, and other cells doing growth. This is what we call the eukaryote. So eukaryotic cell, you have to know that they possess nucleus, and this nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear membrane inside of the cytoplasm of the cell. So some of examples of eukaryotic cell are the deuteromeces, like these are cells and like comprises yeast, mushroom, or fungi, and you can call it mesenapula. And there is what we call the metaphytes, where you find maize, beans, cow, peas, and in general called green plants. So there is what we call metazoa, which is called the cow, gorilla, goats, and in general animals. So these are examples of eukaryotes, where I find there is three classes of examples like the deuteromeces, the metaphytes, and the metazoans. These are green plants for metaphytes, metazoans are animals, and the deuteromeces are fungi. So here is a structure of eukaryote. This is the mitochondria. Yeah, this is the mitochondria of the cell, and this is the nucleus. As you see in the cytoplasm, is inside of the cytoplasm, and it is visible and is surrounded by the nuclear membrane. This is the layer of nuclear membrane surrounding the nucleus, This is other organelles like Golgi bodies, these are vacuoles. So this is the structure of the eukaryotic cell. And here I think you have understood what we call eukaryotic cell and the prokaryotic cell. You can give the difference. So let us see evaluation. If you have heard what I have said, you can ask yourself here, and this is a list of different evaluations. First, list any 4 living being found in your environment. You can answer this on your own. Give a well-labeled diagram of animal cell. I know you are excellent one. You can do this. And number 3, give any 4 characteristics of living being. Differentiate the prokaryotic cell from eukaryotic cell. So you can do this evaluation and show to your parent or to your teacher, or you can contact me on the 078 37 888 then 79. Even it is on WhatsApp. Or you can write me to my email, then I will reply to you and I will facilitate you. Yeah. So this is our topic of today. We are focusing on the living organism and with the different characteristics and different groups. So thank you for watching me. See you in next class about biology, laboratory, safety rules and regulation. Thank you. I'm Chaemi. Don't forget to make subscribe.